Good morning and welcome to Cover 2 Cook. We are on episode 76 on February 9th for the big Super Bowl weekday, or I guess big Super Bowl day. Today we're going to be discussing the NFL honors as that happened on Thursday night with our Mount Rushmore for coaches as Andy Reid will be going for his third straight today. And then we'll finish and talk about the Super Bowl. Big things of there, maybe some prop bets, and then what way we're betting for today. But before I get too far, let me bring on my co-host, Mr. Tim Cook. How you doing today?
I'm doing good. Excited for Super Bowl Sunday. You know, we're still a long ways away, but it's here. It's finally here. We get to see the game that we've been wanting for 2 weeks.
Yep. No, definitely agree. I mean, I woke up this morning, I was like, okay, it's still 5:30. It kind of reminds me of our national championship, right? Because, and I say our because of Notre Dame, right? But right. We wake up and we're like, okay, we finally made it to the day. Now I have to find things to do during the day to get to the night game. So, but let's start off with that NFL honors. That happened this on Thursday night, I believe, when we were recording. For MVP this year was Josh Allen. Coach of the year was Kevin O'Connell for the Minnesota Vikings. Defensive player was Patrick Surtain for the Denver Broncos.
Yes.
Offensive player of the year was Saquon Barkley for the Eagles. Defensive rookie was Jared Verse for the LA Rams. Offensive rookie was obviously Jaden Daniels for the Washington Commanders. And comeback player of the year was Joe Burrow from the Cincinnati Bengals. What do you think about these? Is there any you disagree or agree with?
I think they pretty much all follow suit. I mean, I think the Lamar, there's been a lot of discussion whether Lamar should have gotten it. But, I mean, Josh Allen had all the stats this year. I mean, that was pretty much. I was kind of surprised at Patrick Surtain getting the defensive player. I think there was some other people out there that might have been, but I think what kind of broke him was when he had that 100-yard pick six.
Yep.
I think that just pretty much against the Raiders. So I thought everything was pretty much status quo. Or I mean, it should that followed. So.
Yeah, I think when you look at Pat Surtain, like you're seeing what the defense looked like with him and without him, and I think you definitely agree that he is the impact. I definitely agree with the whole Lamar Jackson. Like it seemed like everyone kind of got their own little thing, right? Like Lamar got first team, Saquon gets offensive player of the year, and then now MVP goes to Josh Allen. Like it's surprising that the best quarterback based on the voting for All Pro was Lamar, but then the MVP was, so it kind of just contradicts a little bit. I was surprised by the coach, Kevin O'Connell. I'm a Vikings fan, right? Dan Campbell, right? Yeah. Like maybe you say the coach for the Eagles. I mean, just because, Dan Campbell had to go through a lot of injuries, and they still had that same record. Yeah. I think that one's a little surprising. Kevin O'Connell, I kind of also think in my head, like, did anyone watch the end of the year? Like, they struggled. Like, so Jared Verse made a lot of sense. I think he had a huge season. And what I think really solidifies him as the defensive player of the year is the fact that he talked shit about the Eagles and then backed it up. Like, that, like, you can't remember a time a player doing something like that. But comeback player of the year, Joe Burrow, definitely makes sense there, too.
Yeah, that's the second time he's won comeback player of the year. So that's really something in his career. He's already won two comeback players of the year. I mean, it's it just shows how well after a key injury he's bounced back.
Well, and it feels like just not long ago we were watching the LSU team dominate. Like he was in college. Like, so you brought up a great question on the last podcast, and hope you tuned into episode 75 that had some trivia. But you had a great question there. You said Mount Rushmore for coaches because Andy Reid is going for his third straight. Does that make him on the Mount Rushmore? There is 4. Is he top 4? I want you to start off. Give me your top 4 and why.
I'm going to go with Vince Lombardi. The trophy's named after him. Shula, winningest coach of all time. Bill Walsh.
Okay.
All right, Bill Walsh and Bill Belichick. Andy Reid is close. He's on the outside looking in. Why I say Bill Walsh is because if it wasn't for Bill Walsh, Andy Reid is not the coach he is.
Yep.
Bill Walsh brought up the West Coast offense. He is the architect of the West. That's why they called it, because from the 49ers and from Stanford.
Yep.
He brought the West Coast offense. That offense back in the 80s and 90s, that was the offense that everybody wanted to mimic. The 49ers were dominant in the 80s, and that was because of the West Coast offense.
Yep.
Now today it's the more the RPOs. But if it wasn't for him, a lot of these coaches, Andy Reid, Steve Mariucci, there's a lot of good coaches out there that came from his tree that I think he doesn't get a lot of, now I would say respect, but a lot of accolades because of it.
Yeah.
So I think that's a big one. I mean, Bill Belichick, 7 Super Bowls, 8 if you count him being DC, you know. But I think Andy Reid's right there with the 3 in a row. I think he's right there. But you know, you got Shula, he's the winningest coach, and then you got Lombardi. Well, they
Yep.
named the trophy after him. So
Yeah, so we kind of have a similar. I do have a couple or one different one. So I have Bill Walsh as well. West Coast offense.
wow.
It's just revolutionary
Yeah.
and it's still used in the same concept in 49ers still today. Right? There's still teams that do this. It depends on your quarterback. That's what changed the whole thing was he had an athletic quarterback. Back then it was a pocket, things like that.
Right.
I have Don Shula as well. 31 out of his 33 seasons were winning seasons. Has the undefeated season. I just when you look at his overall, you're like it's untouchable because coaches just don't last that long anymore either. Bill Belichick, obviously 6 Super Bowls, 19 consecutive winning seasons, 17 straight seasons of playoffs, and 17 divisional titles. That is just crazy. Now, kind of did it during 2 eras, but same quarterback. I know Joe Gibbs could be up there because he had 3 Super Bowls, 3 different quarterbacks. But Bill Belichick just the way he made the team just do it over such a long stint. I mean, like it's almost my life. Like if you think about it, like how long he kind of did that. My last one. So there's gonna be some Dallas Cowboys out there that like it, but Tom Landry.
Oh,
And
okay.
why I say Tom Landry is 20 straight winning seasons and making the playoffs 18 times out of those 20 seasons. That is such a run of just say, you know, whether winning or not winning, you're in there to compete. And why I give him the respect is because it is the capital. It is the heart of football. In Texas, I know people say, well, Florida, California, the Midwest. Texas is football.
Yeah.
College football, high school football is the most dominant. That is the only thing these people breathe. And obviously, because now Dallas Mavericks fans are mad about basketball. Who knew that they even knew there was basketball there? Because it's all
Right.
about football. I put Tom Landry in there. I didn't put Vince Lombardi or Hollis only because it was just a different game. Like, I think, and I'm not saying that, like, they weren't dominant. I'm just saying that, like, it was a different game. I mean, it was running the ball. It was just a weird thing, right? Like, so I didn't name it after them. I think Vince Lombardi is definitely a very aggressive coach. He was definitely known for his mannerism, but like, you know, or discipline. I guess that's what I'm looking for, his discipline. But I didn't put him on there. I think it was a great or a great question. I would love for people to comment on that. Who do they have as their top 4 for this Mount Rushmore of coaches? Because Andy Reid is very close. 3 consecutive.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
I mean, that will put him closer. But I mean, there was a lot of Super Bowls he didn't do so well in either.
Yeah.
So, and another coach, an honorable mention, if he would have coached a little bit longer, would have been Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah.
I think he could have won 5 Super Bowls, at least 6, if Jerry Jones wouldn't have stuck his beak in there and didn't want so much of the limelight. I think that team could. I mean, they won a Super Bowl with Barry Switzer. I mean, that was Jimmy's team. But I think he could have been. You know, you got Chuck Noll in the 70s too for Pittsburgh. I think they won 4 or 5 too. I just think you also got to put in there. Did they revolutionize the sport itself too?
Yeah.
As good coaches, and that's why I say with Bill Walsh. I mean, you know, he's the one that brought. I mean, I remember that I hated them 49ers teams.
Yeah.
Back in the 80s and 90s because they were just so well oiled. I mean, they had Joe Montana, they had Jerry Rice, they had Taylor in there. I mean, they had running backs, Roger Craig. I mean, they were just that good, and that offense was Montana making it look easy.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's funny that we didn't bring any of the coaches that won a national championship and a Super Bowl in there because I think that's where Jimmy Johnson, if people put him on the Rushmore, is because he did it at both levels. Yep. There's a lot of guys that tried to do it at both levels and couldn't do it. Nick Saban, for example.
Yeah.
And like Pete Carroll. Is Pete Carroll up there? I think if he wins more Super Bowls at the Seahawks, it's a different story. Right? I think you know, Barry, I think he always has that kind of asterisk next to him. Right. Because like what you just said. But I mean, when you look at that, like, do you say Harbaugh eventually? By the time his thing's done, does he win a Super Bowl in LA, or does he go coach somewhere else and win a Super Bowl? He
Right.
made it to a Super Bowl, so. Now, I
Yep.
did have a question because maybe I'm just blanking right here. It is early Sunday morning after a late night Saturday. But did Andy Reid? Andy Reid did win one in Philadelphia, right? No.
No, no.
Okay.
He was there. I think that was when the Patriots were all really good. He had Donovan McNabb. That was
Yeah.
when Donovan McNabb was throwing up on the field,
And
and
Terrell
T.O. kind of
Owens.
yeah, and
Yeah.
T.O. was calling him out on it. Yeah, we got our player, and he's throwing up on the field. Yeah. I mean, he had some really good teams with Philadelphia, but they just couldn't get over the hump.
Okay. Yeah, that's
Them teams just couldn't get over the hump.
because I remember there was the Super Bowl where T.O. like injured his ACL or something like that, comes
He broke
back.
his leg. He broke his leg and
yeah.
came back for that game. Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
and in a
And I,
monster game. So
I didn't know if they won that, but that brings us to the Super Bowl today. We've been holding off. We've been wanting to talk about it. We've let everyone else kind of give their takes on this, but this allows us. So if you haven't paid attention, which is okay, but Chiefs are going for a three-peat. Eagles are trying to show that hard-nosed teams can win a Super Bowl. They went out and got Saquon. I think Roseman, the GM for the Eagles, took the NFL by the balls and said, hey, we're not just good, we want to be great, and they show now. They had a lot of controversy starting the season with they're not playing the way they should have been playing, but man, when they turned it on, they were a force to be reckoned. I still think, just going to say this, if the Lions were fully healthy, if it wasn't a snowy game, I think LA maybe get them there, but they made it here when it mattered. Same thing can be said about the Chiefs. They always win these games last second. Oh, but that's clutch. But what do you
yeah.
think about this Super Bowl?
Yeah, I think this is going to be a really good Super Bowl. I think, you said they're going for the three-peat. If the Eagles can win, this will be their second Super Bowl in 6 years.
Yep.
So I mean, this would be a very good feat even for them. But yeah, I think this is going to be right now it's a pick'em game. There's some sites that have them as a pick'em game. Some, I think ESPN still got them at 1. I think this is going to be a good game. I really do.
I agree. I think it comes down to the Chiefs' defense. Can you slow down Saquon? Can you make Jalen Hurts run? Like, I think he's got weapons to throw the ball. I know maybe I'm just not that guy, but like I always question his arm. I always do. Like he shows it, and he does, and he performs enough. But for some reason, there's always just this thing in the back of my head, and maybe it's his college days that why I say this. But I just question his arm. So can you make him run though?
Right.
Because A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith is playing. He had a hamstring thing throughout this whole week. But the other thing to talk about is the Eagles are fighting an illness.
Yeah.
I saw today that Jalen Carter is a questionable to this game for fighting the flu. I mean, it's one thing when you're just like, oh, I'm kind of sick. But with the flu, man, that knocks you out, man.
Yeah.
That's hard to recover, and it takes a while to kind of get back into that one. On the other side, they've been there. They've done it. They've been there. They've done it.
Yeah.
They're ready for this moment. The Chiefs, I mean, they were talking about their walkthrough, and it was like, why are we even talking about this on ESPN? Right. They've done it for the past 2 years. They know what the hell they're doing.
Yep.
Travis Kelce knows what he's doing. Patrick Mahomes. I love the commercial that's like playoff Pat to playoff Kelce, because that right there is just it is like a storybook. Like it's just what they've done and what they'll keep doing. I think the Eagles have to find a way to contain Patrick Mahomes. He doesn't use his legs throughout the regular season, but when playoffs come around, he's got that ball hanging up here, and he finds a way to just get it out of his hands or takes off running.
Yep.
Got to contain him.
Yeah, I agree. I want to piggyback a little bit on the Barkley one. They've got to contain Barkley.
Yeah.
There's only been one back that has topped Barkley in total yards from scrimmage in a full season. This guy is named Terrell Owens, and he's in the Hall of Fame. Denver Bronco.
Terrell Davis.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Terrell Davis. Denver Bronco. And he should probably pass him today as far as Barkley should. For the Eagles, they've got to shut down the Chiefs in the red zone. Yeah. They are the number one. I think they're in top 5 as far as red zone. Whether it be possessions, they have got to. And for the Chiefs again, smother the Chiefs in the red, in the red zone. They can sustain drives. Chiefs, also for the Eagles, they have to control the yards after catch.
Yep.
Because they are one of the better ones as far as the Chiefs are as far as yards after catch. So.
Well, and I think the Chiefs just got good at the same time, or right at the right time, because Hollywood Brown doesn't play this year, right? pretty much until the playoffs. Hollywood Brown makes their team different. They go out and get D Hopkins and trade deadline. That changes their team. And then, oh wait, you got Juju still there. You got this guy that's like the fastest guy in the world, Xavier Worthy. Like your running back tandem. Oh wait, your three-headed monster. I mean, like let's also remember what Pirine is. Like, I mean, he was dominant in college at Oklahoma. Plus, add to this, like he's a great addition. Plus, you got Kareem Hunt. Plus, you got I can't think of the third one, Pacheco. Like, you have this three-headed monster at the running back. I just, when you look at this, and I'm going to say it, but the white boys got to step up for the Eagles today. Blankenship and the other one, oh, man. But, yes, the other corner.
Right.
Like, they have to step up in this game.
Yeah,
DeJean. Like, they have to step up in this game because, big play Slay or whatever his name is, he'll make a play. But, like, can they hold all these weapons to a minimum? I'm afraid in this game that if the Chiefs get out to a lead, Saquon is not known. He's just not. He's not going to be utilized the way they can. I also think Spags will control Saquon. He's always done it. He will do it in this game. So, if you're looking at any prop bets, just throwing one out there right now, I would look under his under for running yards today. I think it's like 110 yards for rushing.
It's 111.
Yeah, crazy. That is a crazy stat for the Super Bowl. In today's game, definitely. Maybe, a while back that wouldn't have been, but today, 110 yards, I'm hitting that under. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm hoping Saquon goes off. Because I think the Chiefs will win this, but I think I'm rooting for the Eagles hard on this one. But remember who you're going against. Spags has been here, done it. He might be a Hall of Fame coach just by being a coordinator, not a.
Yep. And I think that could be the X factor. It could be the both DCs, Spagnuolo and Vic Fangio. Vic Fangio's got a lot on his plate today as far as trying to contain Mahomes, Kelsey, like all the people you just named. That is going to be a big, I think another big deal. I think the defense for Chiefs, Chris Jones has got to get pressure on Jalen Hurts.
Oh, yeah.
Make him scramble. He's still got that bum leg. He's not on the injury report, but that's still got to linger a little bit. Whether he wears a brace or not, because they blitz like Hurts has taken 19 sacks this year on blitzes.
Yep.
Ooh. So, I think Spagnuolo is going to have to come up with and I think he will. I think that, like they said, the X factor is going to be those two,
Well, and you can ask Josh Allen. Like, just ask Josh Allen whether Spags blitz or not. Right. It seemed like in that fourth quarter, it was every other play, if not every play. There was some heat coming from either a corner blitz, outside linebacker blitz, or a bluff blitz where it looks like they're not blitzing, and then they send someone from 10 yards deep that gets there. Right. Jalen Hurts is going to have a game, which I will say, like, everyone forgets they made it to Super Bowl, a couple years ago. They lost it. Jalen Hurts sat there and watched the confetti come down. Because if you remember, when they won that one, when the Eagles did win it, Jalen Hurts was not the quarterback.
Right.
It was,
Nick Foles.
Yeah.
It was Nick Foles.
Big Dick Nick. You know what I mean? So Nick Foles makes that Super Bowl. Jalen Hurts loses one. So now he's a quarterback. Can he come back after a loss for a win? And I think he has to just play. I kind of feel like he has to play out of his mind. I think the thing that I've also took from this week of Radio Row and all these people talking about it is Nick Sirianni was like on the hot seat at one point this year. And because everyone just saw the talent on the paper and we're like, they're not playing the way that it should. Can he, in this big moment, step up? Because they did Commanders. I mean, they did in that moment, that game, first running attack. I just don't think you're going to see that today with the Chiefs. I think you're going to see more of an LA game where you're going to have to grind it out to the end. But if you, for any reason, let the Chiefs within one score going into the fourth quarter, I will put my house on it. The Chiefs are going to win that game. You have to be up double digits going into the fourth quarter. At least 10. At least 2 possessions. And if not, 14 points.
Well, and that way they can lean on Barkley. I mean, how many yards did he have this year that in the second half? Oh, he had almost 1,000 yards just in the second half. Yeah. So if they can get up 10 to 14, it could be over for the Chiefs. It could be over because they're just going to ground and pound that ball with Barkley. Seems like he gets stronger as the game goes. So I don't see, the Chiefs coming back if they get down that much.
Yeah, but see, it's hard
I
because
know.
it's
I
like,
know.
like we've talked about this and we talked off podcasts and stuff like that. There's just like certain people you just don't bet against.
Yep.
You didn't bet against Nick Saban in his heyday. You didn't
Yep.
bet against Tom Brady, and you don't
Yep.
bet against Patrick Mahomes because
Yep.
you just don't. And I was last night at a party, and the person said, "I said you don't bet against Patrick Mahomes." He's like, "Well, he did lose," and I'm like, "But he lost to the other goat, like literally
Yeah.
to
Yep.
Tom Brady, like."
Yep.
Otherwise, he doesn't lose. He finds a way to win these games.
Yep.
So, do you have any other? I gave out that prop bet of under Saquon's rushing yards. We usually don't give prop bets, but for this game, since it's only one, there's only. Do you have any other prop bets?
I mean, I like the Dallas Goddard over receptions 4.5 and yards 49.5. I liked it. I think he's going to lead. I think they're going to cover up AJ Brown and with God, I can't think of the cornerback for the Chiefs.
Big play Slay.
Yeah. Well, right. Well, no, he plays for Philadelphia.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Snead or whatever I think it is.
Yeah. So I like that. I like the under in the Barkley deal, like you said. I like that. Hollywood Brown to go over 40.5 yards receiving.
Yep.
I like that one. Hopkins anytime touchdown. I think that's plus 500.
Yep.
D Hop. And a long shot I've got D Hop as MVP.
Ooh, I don't know about that one, but that one.
It's a long shot.
Because the only problem with that one is like if D Hop has a game like that, that means Patrick Mahomes had a game like that.
Right.
And just like we see in the MVP, Offensive Player of the Year, like that one's a little tough.
Yep.
But that's what the prop bets are about is like long shots. For my long shot and last night I actually got persuaded. I was thinking Juju Smith for anytime touchdown.
Gotcha.
Xavier Worthy might be a good one too.
Mm-hmm.
They've been utilizing him more now because they have speed outside of just him. I definitely like the Dallas Goedert one. I think the Chiefs are notorious for giving up plays to tight ends. I think that is where they lean. The linebackers for the Chiefs are a little bit more unreliable than their secondary, right? So maybe you go with the tight end. I definitely like the under for Saquon. I mean, if it was any other defense coordinator, I'll say, stay away from it. But Spags, I just think he holds the rushing yards down. My other prop bet is looking at the rushing yards for the quarterbacks. Now, it's kind of went up and down. I think when Patrick Mahomes gets into the playoffs, he learns that he has legs. So he decides to start running. So watch that one. And I think if Spags focuses on Saquon, Jalen Hurts is going to have to run. He's had enough time to get all that injury bug out and stuff like that. Watch for him running. I think there was a bet that was like, and don't quote me on it, but it was one of these things where in the fourth quarter, they have so many rushing yards. I think that is definitely one. For my other long shot, I'm going with yellow Gatorade. It is the best flavor.
Oh, wow.
It is best flavor. Lemon lime's the best. I don't care what you are.
Yeah.
What you say. On a hot day, lemon lime just hits different than any other one. One of the friends last night said purple. I think purple's a good one as well.
Yeah, that's I was looking at that one. That's got pretty short odds. So
yeah, well,
I've got a color for myself, but I have to get on talking. But
yeah, which one you got?
Orange plus 500. I like that one. It's about the middle of the pack as far as the betting goes right now. So I like the orange.
Yeah, I will say for all the people out there like now legalized betting, right, in Illinois, they've definitely changed the game because when they had offshore betting, that's how you betted before, or a bookie or whatever, right? But the offshore would do like, how long's the national anthem going to last, right? Yep. How long's the halftime? How many songs are the national halftime show going to play? Like stuff like that. That made it more fun. They don't have that as much now with the legalized betting because like the other one is like, what is Kendrick Lamar's first song? Right. Like, because me and my wife, Lisa, have been talking about, we were talking with the friends last night. You don't listen to him on the radio because he curses so much. So how is he going to do a Super Bowl? Who's his guest appearance? Is there going to be a guest appearance? Because if you remember, Rihanna didn't have any guest appearance.
No. Well, she had one.
Yeah, her baby.
The baby.
Yeah. Which was kind of cool at the same time.
That was the biggest meme going around, too, after that. Well, she didn't have no guest. Well, yeah, she did. She had one. The baby.
When she zipped it down. Yeah. Which, and I mean, don't get me wrong. It's crazy to think that you're that person that doesn't need anyone else. You could give that country. Kendrick Lamar is going to have someone else. Is Taylor Swift going to be in it, right? There's a lot of rumors of that. I mean, there's been rumors ever since she got into the NFL. But when you look at this, like, what is this first song? For me personally, if you do see any betting things, Mad City, I think. There was a lot of other people that like had other ones, but who do you have? We've talked about this game. We've been waiting for this game. Who do you have winning this game?
I went back and forth on this game. It's such a small bet, but I'm sorry. It's got to be the Chiefs. Take the Chiefs on the money line. I can't bet against Patrick Mahomes. I'm sorry. He is our Tom Brady now. Yep. He's taken over the Tom Brady spot as one of the. You can't bet against him. Would I be surprised if the Eagles won? No.
Yep.
I think the Eagles are that good, and I think eventually this close calls comes back to them. I think these close calls come back to them. I wouldn't be surprised, but maybe not today. Maybe sometime next year. But you just can't bet against them. I'm sorry. You can't bet against them. So I take the Chiefs on the money line.
So I've been going back and forth, and after you just said yours, I'm going Eagles money line, and here's why. Right? Patrick Mahomes, you just don't bet against him, right? We said the same thing about Tom Brady in 2 Super Bowls, and there was a King Slayer. Eli Manning. Is Jalen Hurts the Eli Manning? Does he get a couple from him that could have been Patrick Mahomes' other Super Bowls? I just think this team went out and said, we want to utilize this rushing attack. I don't think they can run it today. I think they're going to have to throw the ball, but I think the throwing the game is what they've been hiding all year. When the media came after Jalen Hurts about A.J. Brown not getting the ball, they came out that first game and just threw the ball, and they were like, oh, shit, they could throw the ball too. I think if they can get ahead against the Chiefs, they can then run the ball and take up so much clock. I like them on this game. I'm rooting for them. It's going to be hard to like sit here and be like to give the Eagles because Patrick Mahomes is who he is. But let's just remember, Tom Brady lost 2 Super Bowls to a guy that is not a guy. Let's be real, okay?
Well, and he wasn't a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Yeah, and he's just not. He's just like he shouldn't be either. But but yeah, I got the Eagles for this game. One other thing I wanted to bring up, other outside of the Super Bowl. Do you have anything about the Super Bowl as well?
Also, I think the key to all, like you're saying, the Eagles, Cam Jerkins, he's coming off a back injury. Dickerson, that took his spot, is coming off an injury as well. Can that offensive line hold back Chris Jones? That's going to be a big key too. I also have one more bet. I like the over in this game.
Yeah.
49.5 or 48.5. I think it starts out slow, like every Super Bowl does. This 2 weeks, it just seems like we don't get the best offenses in the first half, but I think in the second half they both kick it in the ass, and I like the over in this one. I got a final score of 30-27.
Yeah, Chiefs. And I even saw that like they scored like damn near 70 points together with their last Super Bowl together, and this team's like, yes, you don't have Tyreek there compared to now you have Xavier Worthy, whatever, blah blah blah, but like. They still could score points. I mean, we just saw the Chiefs come off a 30-point. Like, they can do things like that, too. So, one other thing I wanted to bring up before we get out of here today is, in case you've been watching Radio Row and seeing all this happening, there's been a guy that just put himself as a sports personality. And I'm hoping they never change him. Jameis Winston going and doing all this thing this week was absolutely amazing. I mean, priceless. Pat McAfee had him on. I sent you a thing earlier in the week, and I was like, I hope they never change him. And what I mean by change him is like, don't let him do softball questions. Let him ask those off-the-wall questions. I mean, he was on that media day on Monday asking players like A.J. Brown and Saquon and stuff, hey, yo, I'm unemployed. Where do you think I should go? And stuff like that. Great. Right? They asked him, do you feel like you're on the dark side now that you're asking questions? And he was like, I was born in darkness. I am darkness. That is hilarious. Like, I know. And then the best one of his for this week was when he went out and started pedaling people. So he was on a bike and he had people behind him pedaling him around. And he's out there singing. Yeah. And then he runs in front of a horse carriage and the damn thing runs him over, and he like hilarious. Right. And then he finishes with going to where Sean Khan's boat, and he's yelling at him like, hey, let me on the boat. Like, he was like, I'll do an tryout on the boat, like stuff like
Right.
that.
Right.
Hilarious, because what makes Pat McAfee who Pat McAfee is he's himself.
Right.
Jameis, I think you can make 10 times what you made in the NFL because you're
Yeah.
really not that good of a quarterback. Just
Right.
be a personality.
Yeah.
Because he gives me a little bit of that Shannon Sharp / Pat McAfee vibe
Right.
where you just don't know what's coming out of his mouth next.
Right.
And it's
Right.
amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I agree. I seen all that. I was like, oh my. And in all season when they've interviewed him, there was one game against Denver. They interviewed him, and the Jesus. I mean, it's just like, where is he coming up with this stuff?
yeah. Well, and then he
It's
was on
crazy.
Jason. He was on Jason Kelsey's like
Mm.
ESPN night show or whatever,
Right.
and they were like, "There's a rumor that like when you give a play, it sounds like you're whispering, like you're giving me a secret." And they're
Right.
like, can we get an active play?" And he was like, "Yeah, we're gonna do 24 out hot red, blah blah blah." And so Jason Kelsey was like, "Why? Why?" He's like, "I gotta bring energy." And he's like, "But you're not bringing any energy." Like, I think
Right.
Jameis would be amazing. I think his football career is not over yet. I
No. Right.
think he is still a backup, a reliable backup to have in the NFL. But this is the start to being something bigger. Just be
Yeah.
you, Jameis. Jameis,
Yeah.
I know a lot of people are going to want to change you. Just be you and
Yeah.
bet on yourself because I'll tell you right now, he is absolutely hilarious. Was there
Yeah.
anyone else that caught your eye? One other thing I saw from Radio Row too was they had Butler from Patriots.
Malcolm Butler.
Yeah, they had him on a podcast
Yeah.
and they were talking about what happened in the Super Bowl and he not kind of didn't really give any answers and stuff like that. But did anything else from Radio Row this week kind of catch your eye?
I mean, I didn't really see a whole lot of it as far as what Radio Row was doing, anything. So I don't know anything as far as that goes. But yeah, the Malcolm Butler one, that was kind of, he's pretty tight lip on it. So something had to have happened
Yeah,
why he didn't play that game.
yeah. No,
I think
obviously.
it'll come out eventually. I think it'll come out eventually.
Well, it'll be like a 30 for 30. Like, let's
Yeah,
be real.
right.
We'll get one of
Yeah,
those. But,
yeah,
obviously the goal is one day to be on Radio Row to give you guys stuff like that because I think it would be amazing to have. But we want to thank everyone. We are going to be back on recording on Tuesday for a Wednesday podcast. Then we're going to take about a week or so off just because we've done this 76 episodes, a lot of episodes this year. Take a little bit off, but we want to thank all the fans, everyone that's commented, shared it. Find us on YouTube. We're on Instagram. We're on TikTok. We're on Facebook. We'll be posting some of our reels on YouTube as well. I will say we have a lot coming up in the off season of possibly being at the draft, being at a spring ball game. We want to add a couple more segments. Lisa will still do the trivia because that's a huge hit. There might be another little segment of teaching the game, of showing what defenses, why they're, when we say cover two, well, what is that cover two? Things like that. We do want to eventually get to a point where you can actually read our read our blogs to the point where you can actually see what is going on in these thick minds of ours. But we want to thank everyone this year. Good luck to both teams. I'm going to root for the Eagles, even though I'm very fearful of the Chiefs. But I hope everyone has a great day. Watch the commercials. We'll have a good time with that. But everyone have a great day, and we will see you on Tuesday.